he would have them do, he would have them become, for a week, the person that they would most despise. So if you're an OCD person, he would say, this week I want you to be a complete, just don't clean anything, don't make anything neat, and just live that person. There's a lot of people in the meditation world that say, oh, no, you just need to meditate. You need to be quiet and meditate and get in tune with your heart. Well, guess what? For high achievers, to have their brain going all day long, that becomes a source of frustration.
Exactly.
And they say, you know what? They're telling me to sit down, shut up, and meditate, and I cannot stop my thoughts. And so this is why we work on the thoughts.
You've noticed shared biological patterns between people with extreme visibility and people in survival mode. That's a bold statement. Do you mind explaining that?
Both of those, extreme visibility and people that are in extreme need, tend to have more stress in their life, right? This is the easiest time in all of humanity to become very successful. It's the easiest time. If you come to the world with how may I serve, if you have a work ethic, if you really come from a place of generosity, of what can I do to help someone's life, you will succeed. We talk a lot about the divine feminine, and we like to slaughter, our society in the last 10 years has chosen to slaughter the patriarchy, slaughter the man, and just talk about the divine feminine. The divine feminine will never slaughter the divine masculine.
Amen.
They are allies, and men are rising now. I see the most extraordinary things in men now. They are understanding the divine masculine.
Hi guys, we are here with beautiful Lea Llovio, and you say Llovio because she loves you, she loves everybody. And she's a conscious wellness thought leader, globally sought after keynote speaker and advisor to some of the most influential doctors, leaders, and change makers in the world. Known as the Doc Whisperer, Lea is the one people call when no one else can figure out what's blocking their healing or progress. Her work bridges scientific medicine and spiritual medicine into one powerful approach, helping high achievers remove what's interfering with their health, their leadership, and their impact. So amazing to have you here. Oh
so good.
Gosh. We met at, can we? I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
She is actually the winner of day 7 of the LA Tribune, what was it called? Leadership Week. Which they do that annually, right? Like that's
yes, it's every year.
And her speech, if you guys haven't watched it, you need to watch it. It's amazing. It was an amazing speech. So first, who is Lea outside of, all of the achievements and all of the, like who do you feel you are, like deep inside?
That's an interesting question, Kat. Deep inside, I try to live and on the outside the way I feel on the inside. And so my work reflects what I feel on the inside. And my goal in life really is to help people elevate how they live their lives, to remove some of the interferences that people cause for themselves that are really unnecessary. We are all here to share something with the world. We all have a desire in our heart, something that really turns us on, that lights us up. And I call that sacred medicine. And so my sacred medicine is helping others remove the interferences and help them have their absolute best life so that they can better serve humanity. We all have that sacred medicine to share, and we just have to get out of the way sometimes so that we can actually make an impact in the world. And we all can save a life, we can all change a life, and we can all change the world for the better.
Wow. Wow. That was the best introduction ever. What happened in your life that made you realize the world needed something called conscious wellness?
So in my work, I started in the beginning, mostly working with people one-on-one on the mental, emotional, and spiritual side of living a great life, of healing, of elevating themselves. I started on movie sets and hosting television shows when I was 16 years old in Los Angeles, because I grew up in Los Angeles. But what I realized on the sets was that I was everyone's therapist. I was everyone's spiritual guide, per se. And I quickly realized that my true calling was to help people, again, get out of their own way, remove the interferences. And with some of my clients, you know, having high visibility, sometimes there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things that they have to deal with that maybe us humans don't deal with on a daily basis as intensely as they do. And so I had one client one day say to me, you know what, I think you should be paying me for this. And I didn't even realize it was a client. I thought it was just someone I was helping. And from there, I continued with this. And so conscious wellness, where I found the need is that I had these clients and they could go to the best doctors in the world. They could travel anywhere to get any type of healing, but sometimes they still were not healing. And maybe they were doing all the great medical things. Maybe they were optimizing their body. Maybe they were getting, you know, IVs and using peptides and doing all the good things. But if they weren't optimizing their mental, emotional, and spiritual states, sometimes that also interferes literally with our physiology, with physical health and wellness. And so one of my clients said, hey, you know what, I think you should work with my doctor. And this is where the marriage or the dance came between scientific medicine and spiritual medicine. And now I've been blessed to work with some extraordinary, very scientific minds in wellness and in medicine that maybe in the beginning they were like, oh, we're not so sure, we just want science, science, science. But then they see how important it is that not only their patients are well, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, besides physically, but also that the doctors themselves, the practitioners themselves, and many times the leaders, anytime you're leading a team or you're being of service in any way, it's our kind of our responsibility to optimize ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically so that we can be a sacred vessel to share our sacred medicine.
I love that. And what is there like a process to healing? How do you say I'm your client and how would it go? Is there like a thing that you do? How do I get to heal some childhood wounds, right? If I were your client today.
Well, you know, it depends on each person, right? We all come to the world as a clean slate, depending on what you believe. Some people believe that even some trauma starts in the womb. Some people believe that. But we definitely all know that we have a life experience that can be extraordinary, and sometimes it can be filled with a lot of bumps in the road, and maybe you get a deck of cards that was not the best one, so you have to work a little bit harder at getting to that center point of equanimity, of peace, and of balance in your life. And so it really depends on the person, on what they are doing. Many of my clients are in public positions where they are globally known, and so what happens for them specifically, but it happens with everyone, it's applicable to everyone, is that they could have half the world loving them, half the world hating them, and they are just trying to do their sacred medicine in the world. They're trying to do what they're trying to do, whether it's, you know, help a country or entertain people or, you know, create a new source of how we transport ourselves through the world. They all have something they're trying to share with the world. And what we have to do is start to uncover when physical illness starts to show up. Let's say you're doing the things, you're optimizing yourself, you are working on yourself, you know, to somewhat, maybe you have a therapist per se. Some people have a lot of people have a therapist, but you're also having to deal with all of these external circumstances. A very common factor for many people that are high visibility and are having all the success in the world is there's a little bit of guilt about that success. Even though, let's say, they worked their whole life, you know, to bring something to the world, but then, you know, the rest of their family's never done that, or their community's never done that. And so they're the first one, and they've got, again, all of the judgments on them. And what I try to work with my clients on is that, you know, everything is a blessing. Everything is a gift from whatever you believe it to be, whether it's a gift from yourself and your hard work, or you believe in something divine that is blessing you with the knowledge, with the tools, with the science, with the gift of gab, for example, with the talent as a singer, or whatever it is. It's a gift to share with the world, and the more you succeed at it, the more you can use it, whether it could be something as simple as, like, even in the entertainment industry, people sometimes, that's their only outlet. Maybe they're having a really hard time in life and they're like, gosh, I just want to go to the movies. I just want to go watch a movie and not think about anything. This is sacred medicine for someone. So there's many ways that we can help people heal. And restaurants, for example, even restaurants, there are mothers and people that don't have the time to cook. And so a form of blessing someone can be food, providing them with food to eat that they just don't have time to make themselves. And so this is how we start to work. We look at what are the thought processes that are happening for them that may be interfering with doing everything they want to do, because we're here to do everything we want to do. And if we are all honest with ourselves inside, everything every human being wants is something good. They want to bring something good to humanity. No one starts off with, oh, I'm going to do something bad. No, that doesn't exist. People have...
As children, you mean, right?
Yes. Yeah. The desire is to bring something good to the world, to do something good, to feel good about yourself, and to feel good about providing something useful to humanity that can help humanity.
Sometimes I wonder, because whenever you said we all want to do what we want, I'm wondering, what if there's something selfish that might actually be, I don't know, making somebody else, someone, I don't feel like washing dishes today. I just want to chill on the couch. But so-and-so next to me feels a certain way because they have OCD.
That's very fascinating that you asked that question. So now I'm going to go way back into some of our great teachers. There was a teacher, his name was Carlos Castaneda, and he wrote a book called Don Juan, and a series. He was a shaman, and one of the things he would have his students do is he would have them do something called recapitulation. And so in order to remove one of the number one interferences to real wellness, success, prosperity, good relationships, one of those interferences that I work on with my clients is judgment. Ooh. And so what he would have them do, he would have them become, for a week, the person that they would most despise. So if you're an OCD person, he would say, this week I want you to be a complete, just don't clean anything, don't make anything neat, and just live that person. And the reason why he would have people do that is because they realize after these little tests and these little projects of becoming different people, they realize that they themselves are the same person, no matter what they were doing, whether they were the super neat person, whether or not they were, having a mess everywhere. And this is how he would train people to release the judgments. Like if you were that OCD person and you did that for a week, you realize, wow, I'm still a good person. I was just messy that week. And so that helps clean up some of those judgments that we have about other people. Or even thinking, this person is selfish because they want to go to the gym every day. Some people think that way, but wait a minute, why do I have a judgment about that? If this is what makes them happy, let them do it. Mel Robbins talks about that a lot now. Let them, right? But that theory has been around forever. It's like we have to, if we work on removing those thought processes, which those are like judgment, criticism, but see, those don't apply just to other people. They apply to ourselves. We have to remove those judgments towards ourselves as well. And what happens is the more we remove the judgments and the criticism about ourselves, the easier it is to give other people some grace and to realize, you know what? It is what it is. They are what they are. I'm going to focus on myself. And the other big deal is that everything is time and energy in life, right?
Time and energy.
Everything is time and energy. And so every thought that you have is using some of your precious time on the planet, because you only get a certain amount of time. Maybe someday we'll live forever, but as of now, we don't, physically anyway. And you're stealing a little bit of your energy, right? So we have to all make a choice. Do you want to use your thoughts to fill your sacred time and use your energy on this earth for judgment, negativity, or do you want to use it every time you're spending time saying something negative about yourself? You could switch that and actually think something positive, create something new, think of how you can make your life better, how you can make someone else's life better. And so when people become very clear, and actually I want them to become ambitious, very ambitious about your time and your energy and the thoughts that you have, because that's the only thing you own are your thoughts. You know, even your body one day will be taken, but you own your thoughts. You're the only one. You're the captain of your thoughts.
My goodness. You are known as the Dark Whisperer. How does a person earn a nickname like that?
The way the Dark Whisperer came about was, again, by working with extraordinary scientific minds. Okay. And I find one of my greatest achievements is when I hear one of the extraordinary doctors that I work with say, okay, I now believe there is something spiritual about this healing. It makes me so happy. So doctors, when they first start their careers, they start with so much hope, right? Sometimes it's something that happened in their own family, many times that they couldn't save someone, or, you know, somebody passed away due to not getting the right treatment. This happens very often. And then sometimes it's just like, wow, I don't want people to suffer. And so what I talk about with my beautiful doctors is that they are inspired by healing people. They are inspired by helping people live a life. They forget sometimes what they're actually doing. They think they are providing science, protocols, medicine, peptides, telling them to walk 10,000 steps every day and get good sleep and manage their stress. Those are the protocols. But what they're really doing is giving people the ability to live their life. Every time somebody goes to a healer, to a doctor, or for help in any way, they're going for a miracle. Mm-hmm. And this is what I talk about with them in my public talks in the medical conferences, is that in ancient times we had, you know, the village plant medicine man or plant medicine woman, or, you know, we had a shaman, and you'd go and you would say, you know, oh my gosh, I, you know, have this fever, or, you know, different things. And they would tell you, you know, go get these plants and boil them, and I want you to drink those plants for a week. Or you had like some digestive issues, and they would say, go wrap yourself in some wool, and I want you to lay in front of a fire. And so what is that? Today, that's our sauna. And so ancient medicine is actual modern medicine. In ancient times, we called these things miracles, but all scientific medicine and everything we're doing today is a miracle if you really think about it. Did we ever think we could have a heart transplant? You know, people can have a heart transplant. This is a miracle. We just didn't have the scientific language in the past. And so when the doctors start to see how much they are here to help people live their sacred life, and they change it from just giving protocols to understanding that every human being comes to the doctor wishing, oh my gosh, I hope he is going to have the solution so I can get back to my life, so I can take care of my kids, so I can do my job, so I can help my mother or my father. You know, people are just trying to live their life. And this is why I always say doctors and healers and anyone who's doing something to help people is a walking angel on the planet. Whether you are trying to lead a country or lead a car company or, you know, lead a school, you're doing something to help humanity. So you are a walking angel on the planet. You don't have to look too far away. Our world is full of walking angels if we just pause a little bit and notice that everyone is bringing their sacred medicine. And so this is where the Dark Whisperer came in, when the doctors started to realize that, hey, wait a minute, I'm not just doing protocols. I'm actually giving people the ability to live their life. And so I'm very grateful for all of the doctors and all of the leaders and all the people that are doing things to help people in the world live their sacred life and share their sacred medicine.
That's amazing. And how do you, like, when did you discover you had this, you said on the set, right? Because you were everybody's shrink. But how do you feel like, another question that came to my mind, you were talking about, I feel like you really appreciate doctors. Are you more on the biohacking, more on the holistic side, or are you?
Both.
Okay.
So this is the thing about healing and medicine. All medicine, I consider is sacred medicine. All medicine is miraculous medicine. And this is part of that dance between spiritual medicine and scientific medicine. Every human being has different requirements. Every physiology is different. You have different genetics. And so to say I'm only going to do this type of healing modality is really kind of unfair to your human body, because your body will respond to different types of treatments. And so yes, I personally do. I speak at a lot of actual biohacking, anti-aging, longevity conferences, peptide conferences, things like that. So I'm all for any modality that is going to help a person have the healing that they need. What I've learned is that you can live extremely well. You can feel very well all of the time, or at least 90% of the time. This is the beauty of, you can call it biohacking, anti-aging, longevity, health span medicine, that we have so many tools now.
That's true.
So many tools. So for example, I travel year-round all over the world at conferences or for my clients. Sometimes I go with them when they're on a campaign or they're touring different things. If I didn't have these tools, I could experience burnout. But there's two factors that come into play, including what I do with my clients. Is one, we optimize our mental, emotional, spiritual states, but also the physical body, so that you have all of the tools when you're traveling, when you're going all over the world, to keep your body healthy, to keep your immune system high. You know, most of the people that I work with, they just don't get sick. They don't, even though they're traveling all over the world, even though they're among a lot of people, because we have amazing tools that we can use today to make sure that our immune system is in place and take care of ourselves so that we can continue to provide our sacred medicine. And it's not just the physical, it is, again, having that purpose, knowing I'm here to serve humanity. I'm here to bring something of value to the world. I'm here to share my sacred medicine. That alone, well, you know, when you feel positive, you have higher dopamine levels, you have higher serotonin levels, you have higher oxytocin levels, and those all help your immune system. When you feel happy and good, you know, you feel better physically as well, not just mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah. Say somebody's going through some rough times, how can they remain positive? What do they need to do?
Many people are going through very hard times. And the number one thing I tell people when they're going through hard times, one mantra to say to yourself over and over again, is that nothing stays the same. And everything comes to pass.
Too shall pass, yeah.
Yes, and I've worked with people that maybe have experienced severe depression, you know, and even tendencies towards not wanting to be on the planet because it's been so hard for them. And the one thing that has helped them is repeating that. This is not going to stay the same. Everything comes to pass. You know, you don't have yesterday anymore. It's gone. And so when people can really understand that everything comes to pass and nothing stays the same, one thing is it gives you a deep reverence for the opportunity to live another day. And two, it tells you, if I know that this is going to come to pass and nothing stays the same, then what can I do right now to feel better, to do something better, to maybe start eliminating some of those circumstances from my life that are causing this hardship in my mind and my body and my soul, you know. But I really ask people to treat themselves with radical self-acceptance. This is essential. You know, like some people they learn some of the thought processes that I teach them that can interfere, and they make a commitment. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to lose my temper. And then life happens, and they're driving on the freeway, and somebody cuts them off, and suddenly every judgment they ever had comes to the surface. And this is where the radical self-acceptance comes in, that if we can say, look, I'm making these commitments in my life to try to serve humanity in a better way, and sometimes they may slip, but that doesn't mean I'm going to give up. So I'm going to keep trying and treating yourself like your most precious puppy, like your precious puppy or your precious child. If you were the most doting, loving parent on the planet, how would you treat your child if they threw a tantrum? Mm-hmm. You know, it's very different than if you weren't a doting. I'm saying go all the way, be super doting, super spoiling, so that you can treat yourself kindly. Yeah. Because not everyone has had that upbringing of having a parent that was doting, that just really said positive things to them, that gave them reinforcement. Not everyone has that. So then once we become adults, we have to do that for ourselves because we function better when we are feeling accepted. And the only one who can really do that for us is ourselves.
Yeah.
That's it.
And if you think about it, this is a gift. God gifted us life.
Yes.
I am a gift. How would I not appreciate myself as a gift from God?
Absolutely.
So I always, whenever times are rough, I always say, God knows best. Those are my 3 words.
That's beautiful.
God knows best.
That is a beautiful mantra, yes.
Yeah. I want to play 2 games with you.
Okay.
Just to kind of, change
to
it
have
up.
some fun?
Yes. Game number 1. Truth or narrative? You just pick one. Is it healing equals science or surrender? Which one is it? Is it science or surrender?
I would say both. I invite people again to use scientific medicine, spiritual medicine. So what do? You do everything in your power to understand what is happening with you physiologically. You do the research, you go to the best people you can possibly go, and you do the protocols to heal yourself physiologically, and then you surrender, right? But it's never one or the other. It's again, the dance between spiritual medicine and scientific medicine. This is how spiritual medicine and scientific medicine dance together, is that we do use all of the science. And the reason why I call the scientific medicine sacred medicine, and it actually is spiritual medicine, is because, as you discussed, you believe in God, right? And so if you believe in a higher power, if you believe in something divine, where is the inspiration coming from to create the protocols, to create the technology, to create the new supplements that are going to help people? It comes from a very spiritual and sacred place, again, to help humanity heal, to help human beings. Every medication, every protocol that has been created throughout all of time was with the intention, I am going to help somebody no longer be diabetic. I am going to help somebody have a strong, healthy heart. I am going to help people that are sitting in their office all day long who can't get outside with a red light therapy device that is going to bring a little bit of a better environment to them. All of that is a sacred spiritual intention to help people live their life and heal. So it's never one or the other. It's always both.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Back to the games. Intuition, is it a gift or a skill?
It can be both.
Oh.
You can start with intuition, but it does require managing it. For example, if you are a very intuitive person, an empathetic person, you start to see a lot of things, right? And many people that see a lot of things, sometimes if they don't know how to attach and detach from people, this energy of that intuition and seeing the things, you won't be able to handle them. Sometimes, you see many people like that are in the healing world that become physically unwell, especially people that work in energy, psychics, energy healers, because they take on the energy of the people that they are working with. And it's the same thing with intuition. Intuition should guide you in your life, but we still have to optimize the thought processes. Why? Because if you are a person that has not optimized your own judgments, your own critiques about yourself or anyone else, your intuition is very different than if you've cleaned your thought processes. If you are a judgmental person, whether it's to yourself or anyone else, if you are angry easily, if you are resentful because of, whatever happened to you in your life, your intuition is not clean.
That's true.
People ask me all the time, how do you know if somebody has bad energy or somebody's a bad person? And I say to them, when you have spent at least 1 year that you did not criticize one person including yourself. You didn't judge anyone for what they do for a living, for whether or not they dress up, for whether or not they organize their house, like we were talking about earlier. When you have removed all of those judgments, all of those criticisms, when you're no longer resentful at who did what, and your mind is clean about yourself and everyone else, then you may be able to trust your intuition about other people. And so a lot goes back to the thought processes. You know, many people think, oh, I know how to read people. I can tell if somebody's being sincere. But they have a lot of judgments about people being certain ways. Right. And so if you have judgments about people being certain ways, then you are not able to read people. The only way you can do that is if you really can see people as a whole, without criticism and without judgment. Then you can see them. But as long as we have any judgments or criticism on ourselves or anyone else, even for ourselves, right? If you are constantly criticizing yourself, judging yourself, oh, I didn't go to the gym this week. Oh, you know, I snapped at that person. You're not even seeing yourself because you're too busy judging yourself.
That's so true.
But when we come to that place that we were talking about, radical self-acceptance, it allows us to radically accept other people. That doesn't mean we want to choose all types of people in our life. We have the right to choose who we want to be around, but it helps us to see ourselves and others more clearly. And this way, we can actually help humanity. We can help other people, and we can help ourselves, and we can practice our sacred medicine in the world, our true calling, our true purpose, but not the intuition. It really is something very interesting because so many people take courses and say, oh, I'm an NLP expert. I've heard people say that. I can tell when people are lying just by the way their eyes move. And it's like, you have to really think about that. If you're spending your time with a person and you're just watching them to see where their eyes are moving, to see if they're lying, are you present? You're not fully present. You're sitting there judging whether or not they're a liar. Versus actually experiencing the person. And actually,
I love that.
Just to tell you, I know you're an expert on this because I heard you on one of your podcasts, you were saying that when you're listening to your guests, that you're actually trying to listen to them from their perspective versus what you think they're talking about.
Yeah, which is wild. Sometimes I get too deep into that.
But that's beautiful because you're wanting to see the whole person versus seeing them from what you're thinking. And this is why we always work on the thought processes, because even in medicine we understand this. Thoughts create chemical reactions in the brain. The chemical reactions create emotions. Those emotions are going to incite you to take an action or not take an action, and to say something or not say something, right? And so it's the same thing. If you have had a difficult time in life and you haven't worked on clearing up your own thought processes, you're going to be reactive, and your intuitions and what you think about people and who's good and who's bad is going to be different. Versus if you're just like, I'm just going to see people for who they are, and where can I be a vessel for something good, something healing in their life, versus just coming to every situation with, I'm going to analyze this person or that person and, you know, see what my intuition tells me. And by the way, because I've done this work for a few decades, I am not going to sit there and think about my intuition about someone or who they are unless they invite me and are asking. That's the other thing, right? It's like we think we have the right to decide if somebody is good or bad, or even have an intuition about them, versus, wait a minute, there was no invitation there. And again, going back to the time and energy, everything is time and energy. And so all of those thoughts, those judgments, even the intuition, unless it's for yourself in your own life, is using up your sacred time, your sacred energy, that you get a certain amount of time on this planet, right? I mean, there are the radical longevity people, and they believe someday we will figure out how to have people live forever. But right now, you know, we're lucky if we get 100, 120, right? So we have to use that time like it is very sacred, because it really, really is sacred.
It's so true. And with that whole intuition, you can't, you see others the way we see others the way we are, not the way they are. So if you're a negative person, you're going to pick on everything negative about the others.
Right. Versus looking for what, one of the things I ask my doctors to do is I ask them to fall in love with their patients.
I like that.
And why? Because when you come to a person with, I really want to like you, I really want to see the best in you, you open so many possibilities. You open the possibility of making a new amazing friendship. You create a new ally. And you also create trust. If you come to each person with the doctors, I tell them, I want to fall in love with every patient every day. And in the beginning, they would say, are you crazy? Like, I'm going to have malpractice issues. And I tell them, no, it's not like you're going to do anything, but you want to love that person deeply and connect with them deeply when you are with them in that moment. And that way, if there's any possibility of you doing something good for them, it's going to come out. And guess what? If you are there to provide any service at all, and you come from this place of what can I bring to you to make your life better? The other person, they don't know why, but they trust you.
Yeah.
And because they feel seen, they feel accepted, they feel that you have good intentions, even if they don't know why. They have what people call the mammalian brain, right? That are always looking for congruence. They're looking, this person is telling me that if I come to them, they're going to help me achieve my next level of success. But if your thoughts are not of, I really want to provide a deep, beautiful service for this human being in front of me and help them, then there's going to be something about them that it's just not going to trust the person. It's the same thing with the doctors. If the doctors are annoyed with the patient, or even if the doctors judge them because they ate pizza and had some beer for the football game over the weekend, the patient feels that. And then they don't trust the doctor. And in the healing process, the only way you're going to heal is if you hire someone to help you with something. You have to be totally transparent with them. But it's the responsibility of the one providing the service to create the trust for the person who's coming to them, whether it's a service or a medical issue, to create that vessel for trust, to open the trust. And the only way that happens is if you do have congruence, if you really do care and you really do what you say you're going to do, but that it happens from your own thoughts, that you're not just saying it, that you actually think it, feel it, and do it.
And actually, I don't know if you're going to like this question, but talking about doctors and trust, after what happened with the, I call it, scandemic, it's very hard for me to trust doctors.
With the what?
The scandemic.
Oh, yes,
We can always remove this.
Yeah.
And so with the pandemic, right, they were getting, I don't know, I think $1,400 per vaccine. So there was an incentive there.
Yeah.
How do I trust a doctor after all that?
Oh, that's a really good question. Number one, not all doctors were doing that.
Okay.
Right. And
how do we know which one is doing what?
Exactly. Well, that's why people have to do their research and do their due diligence and find the people in your life that resonate with what you believe is right. And I can tell you that, there are some doctors that probably were doing this for the wrong reasons. And there are some doctors, just like people, who believed that this was a solution. I know people that are now suffering consequences of actually using what was recommended. But they believed that, they believed their doctor, for example, right?
Yeah.
And then, just to give you some context of the power of your thoughts, I know some very evolved people in the consciousness world, in the energy world, that needed to travel at the time. And the only way they could do that is if they did what was recommended at the time. And so they changed their thought processes about what that medicine was. And when they went to go do it, they chose to believe that that was an IV that was helping them and making them smarter and healthier. And they had no consequences.
Interesting.
And so, everything is perspective in life. It's not, there's no black and white. The longer I live, the more I see it's not one or the other. There's always different aspects. You don't know why everyone is doing what they're doing. And yes, some people are doing something just for the financial part. And then some people really believe in certain things, Nothing is perfect. Just like we were talking about the high visibility people. If you're a politician, like some of my clients, You have half the world that agree with you and half the world think you're the worst person on the planet. And you're trying to do what you're trying to do to help people. So it is a complicated world, and that is why we can only keep our side of the street clean in life, right? And optimize ourselves and make sure that we are bringing our sacred medicine to the world and coming from this place to help humanity. And any aversion is an interference. Even like with that situation that you're talking about, it's coming to a place of neutrality, of understanding there's this in the world and there's this in the world. And the only thing I'm doing if I'm spending my time in the aversion is interfering at that moment with my sacred time and energy to produce something good for the world. Mother Teresa used to say, will you come and do, they asked her if she would go march against the war. And she said, no, I won't go march against the war, but I will invite many people to come and experience peace with me. You know, they also asked her, why do you feed the poor? Why do you do all these good things? Why don't you instead teach them how to do the jobs? And she said, you teach them how to do the jobs. I'm just going to feed them.
Interesting.
So there's different ways to do things.
She knew she wasn't a teacher. That is not my lane. I don't know how to teach, but I know how to inspire.
There you go. And both are amazing, both are sacred, both are useful. Why? Because there are people that are ready to learn, for you to teach them, for you to inspire them, to lift themselves up. And there are people that are so broken that if you can just give them a hand for nothing in exchange, you restore their hope in life and in humanity. Maybe they feel they don't deserve it. They know they don't deserve it. They've done all the things that our society says are terrible and bad. But if you were kind to them, and yes, you did go and, give them money, and you did go and buy them some food, and maybe they didn't do something great with it, but you planted a seed that there are human beings in the world that are still going to be kind to you, and they're still going to help you, and you don't know
not alone.
If they're going to pay it forward. Or if maybe one day they're on their last days and they're really giving up, but they're going to say, no. That one lady, she gave me some money that day, and even though I did a terrible thing with it, she believed me that I wanted to do something good. And maybe they go do something good. We all have the power to save lives. We have the power every single day to save lives, to restore people's hope in humanity, and to help them live one more day, every day. People think they don't have power, they feel powerless. No, we have immense power. We have all of the power. We are the power that makes the world move. We are the power that can make people happy, that can make them depressed, that can traumatize them, that can make them confident, that can help them. Just look at every person with their childhood, right? Many people say, well, I'm like this because my parents were like this. I'm very confident because my parents always helped me with my confidence. Or I, am really shy because I was always told to be quiet. So we do have power, but then, of course, as we become adults, we have to use that power to make ourselves as kind, as generous, as giving as we can, so that we're not hoarding that power, so that we're sharing it and helping, again, humanity heal and helping everyone share their sacred medicine in the world.
Yeah, I don't think you can multiply power by holding on to it, because, it's energy.
That's right.
What about spirituality? Is it a belief or a biology for you?
It's both, again, because
I knew it.
I consider this body a sacred vessel.
Right.
We have a sacred vessel to navigate this world in. And it does require that we optimize that biology. And so if you believe in spirituality, if you believe that you have a soul, well, your soul chose this sacred physical vessel that has a biology, that has brain chemistry, that has a digestive system. And so this is the most spiritual thing, right? To be in the sacred vessel, for our soul to live through this sacred vessel, this biology that we were giving. So I believe that it's really both. It's both.
Yeah, I knew you would answer that because, spirituality and medicine,
Yes.
You picked both. They have to coexist.
They do.
And explain conscious wellness like I've never heard of it. What is it really?
Conscious wellness is, again, the dance between scientific medicine and spiritual medicine, but it goes beyond that because it goes into conscious leadership as well, right? So if you want to do your good works in the world, you must be well. Mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And so conscious wellness is, again, removing those aversions from your life, removing that negativity from your life, those thought processes that interfere with you living in this sacred vessel at a higher level of consciousness. What is a higher level of consciousness? It is actually having everything. Conscious wellness is having all of the things that you would want as a human being to live your absolute best life. A positive, happy mind, a happy heart, wonderful relationships, wonderful livelihood, providing something for humanity, and feeling physically well. And that is conscious wellness, and we need our conscious leaders to have conscious wellness so that they can provide their sacred medicine in ways that humanity can receive it. Part of conscious wellness is, if I am providing a service to you, I must speak to you in the language that is going to land in your heart and in your mind. Many of the practitioners, for example, or even politicians or even artists, they have to learn to speak to people in a way that they will receive it. Conscious wellness is, I don't say this is my way. This is how I talk to people. This is how I teach people. That is not conscious. That is, again, that's an attachment, right? To I have to do it this way. Versus if I'm really here to be of service, to bring something to the world, that's where the intuition can come in. How can I speak to this person? How can I help this person where they will get all of the value and all of the sacred medicine? It's not about me and how I want to teach the things or say the things or lead the people. It's about how can I teach the things and give the medicine and lead the people in a way that's going to benefit them.
Wow. Man, can you imagine if everybody would think like that?
I love it. I think
What
more
a
people are,
world
though.
we live in. Wow. The world we would... You work with some of the most powerful people on the planet, doctors, politicians, and visionaries and global leaders. What's the one thing they all have in common that surprises people?
That their position, that just because they have all of the socioeconomic resources in the world, just because they have the fame or the visibility, that doesn't make them any different than anyone else. The body and the sacred vessel doesn't know who you are, what you do for a living, if you're famous, if you're not famous. And the only difference is that you have more of a lot of things. You have more resources. It could be very helpful in the healing process, right? Because you have more resources, and until we have enough, resources for everyone to get what they need in the medical world, well, that is an advantage. But really, the way you feel in your heart, the way you think, the way you suffer when people are not nice to you or people are criticizing you, it's the same. It's the same whether you are high profile or, nobody knows who you are. We all suffer the same. We all love the same. This is very important. Some people think, this person, especially people that maybe didn't have the resources in the beginning and become very either well-known or very wealthy, people think, the money changed that person or the fame changed that person. No, money, fame, none of these things change anybody. Every human being is who they are. What happens is that in extreme poverty, for example, people are in survival mode, right? So sometimes they may do things that they wouldn't do if they have the resources. And in extreme high profile places, sometimes they don't have to answer to anyone. So maybe they will do things that they wanted to do before that they didn't do. But that doesn't mean that it was the result of the high profile or the fame or the fortune or the money. It's just who they were to begin with. That's it. And that is very important, and it's very difficult because people do like to say, this person changed, that person changed. Hopefully everyone is changing for the better, but ultimately, they used to say for alcoholics, if you take an alcoholic that's a mad alcoholic, like one of those that like to fight all the time, and you get them sober, They're just an angry, sober person. They're not no longer an angry person. It wasn't the alcohol, it's who they are. And so it's just the same whether you're high visibility or not. If you are a generous, kind person, you are going to be that way with whatever you have.
It's true.
You know the big families, right, that have, let's say, 10 children, and there's one of them, and maybe they have no resources, one of them starts working as soon as they're young, and they're giving everything they have to their family. They're coming from a place of generosity. And if they have more later and they become high visibility, guess what? They're going to help more people.
Yeah.
That's all. And then there's the one, even in those families, that's hoarding everything, doesn't want anyone to have any of theirs, and they will be the same whether or not they have the resources later on.
So it's basically just amplifies power and
it's
money.
An amplifier.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep.
So you say elite leaders interfere with their own healing. What does that actually look like in real life? How do they interfere with their own healing?
They can interfere with it going back to the thought processes, right? To the guilt. The number one thing that I have found with my clients that are in those positions is that even if they won't admit it, again, most people are very caring. Most people actually care about humanity and want to do something good. And so suddenly you have every resource in the world. Everybody knows who you are. People feel a little guilty sometimes, even if they worked really hard for it.
Interesting.
And sometimes the world helps them feel guilty about it. And that's how it interferes until we change the narrative. We flip the switch, we pivot, and we look at every single success, every single blessing that you have in your life is another resource you can use to help someone else, to do good works for the world. And I have seen people completely heal themselves once they change that narrative and they see, look, I have these resources, I have earned them, and I'm going to use them to do good works in the world. And it's not taking away from anyone else. It's actually going to contribute to the world. That's where they get in the way, but that's a very sometimes easy fix as soon as we change the way we think about what we have.
So they just know how to program their thoughts and how to...
Well, that's what we do. We start to look at the thoughts, and I always start with the thoughts because it's the one thing you can be aware of, right? There's a lot of people in the meditation world that say, oh, no, you just need to meditate. You need to be quiet and meditate and get in tune with your heart. Well, guess what? For high achievers to have their brain going all day long, that becomes a source of frustration.
Exactly.
And they say, you know what, they're telling me to sit down, shut up, and meditate, and I cannot stop my thoughts. And so this is why we work on the thoughts. I call it dancing with your thoughts. We become friends with our thoughts and actually curious, like, oh, look, I'm thinking this thought today. Where can I change that thought to do better, think better, and say better things to the world and to myself versus... oh, no, I just need to meditate and be quiet. And then if I get into these high consciousness states, then it's going to change my mind. It can for many people. And I have done this in my life in the past. And I've studied with tremendous yogis and saints and sages and shamans all over the world. But I can tell you, for example, some of those saints and those shamans, they are not living in the city.
No.
They are not living amongst the hustle and bustle of having to, pay for your kids to have clothes to wear at school.
They don't have all these earthly temptations.
They don't. And so they are there to do their sacred work, which is generating positive energy to the world however they can. And they can quiet their minds. But for most people, they don't have the time to do that. And so we work with the thought processes. And I do believe in having some sort of mindfulness practice, but it doesn't have to be so extensive and you don't have to be quiet. Because especially if you find someone that was told to be quiet their whole life, for example, they already have that trauma. And they've been working their whole life to actually express themselves. Now you're telling them, guess what? Oh, you learned how to express yourself. Now you're going to shut up and be quiet. So it doesn't work sometimes for many people.
Yeah,
but there's something for everyone, right? Some people do great with meditation.
Yeah, very interesting. And I feel like a lot of people, like a lot of the monks and all these saints, they're kind of like pariahs. They go in the desert, but they all say they have even bigger temptations. They actually the energy, I guess they go in a different dimension where they maybe they feel their body is weak, or there are other issues. So
they can, yeah. But we're trying to handle living right here, grounded
normal life
on the planet, and function and do something for the world.
Yeah. What's the difference between someone who recovers fast and someone who stays stuck? And is it always mental?
It's not always mental.
Okay.
But the thought processes do have something to do with it. I mean, maybe you do. I know people that say, oh, I recover so fast. I'm back, within a few days of a surgery even. There are people like that. So one, they do believe that, right? We want to optimize the physical body as much as we can, again, because we respect the privilege of living in these sacred vessels.
Yeah.
But then, for example, even with any kind of healing, I tell people, if you are going to a practitioner, or let's say you have to have a surgery, go to the person that you really believe 100% has your best interest, not only from a scientific perspective, from referrals, from knowing people that have had them and they've done good works for, but also if you don't believe in the person that's helping you, go somewhere else, go to somebody else, and then believe in your ability to heal yourself. Now, in my world, we use a lot of peptides, for example, for recovery. Yes, we love peptides, and there are many peptides now which actually are naturally occurring in your body. They just decrease as you live more years on the planet, but those are very helpful for recovery.
Such as?
Such as BPC 157 is one of them. Yeah.
What does that do? Is it for...
It's a body compound complex, and what it does is it helps your body recover faster.
So at a cellular level.
Yeah, at a cellular level. We have so many great peptides that we use in recovery that really help people. Thymosin beta-4 is another one, is more anti-inflammatory. Cardilax is another one. There's many compounds and peptides that people can use to recover, but number one is making sure that you are doing what you can for you to feel well all of the time. Many people ask me, well, what's the best diet, or what supplements should I be taking?
Yeah.
There's no best diet. There's a best diet for you.
That's true.
There's no best supplements. There are the best supplements for you. And so one of the things I tell people is, how do you feel? If you feel good every day, you're navigating your day, you're getting things done, you're not exhausted at 2 o'clock, then you're doing the right things. You're probably on the right diet, you're probably taking the right supplements, and you will recover faster.
Yeah.
But if you're dragging, if you're feeling drained, if you're getting a lot of headaches, then there's some things you need to look at. And it is physiologial, and it is also in the thought processes of, again, do I feel that I deserve to be well all of the time? Some people have in some religious practices or spiritual practices, they say things like, well, everyone has a cross to carry. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, well, how about we change that? How about we pivot and stop thinking that? And think, you know what? No, we don't have to do that. If we do our sacred work, we take care of ourselves, try to do good works in the world, maybe we can live in a very optimized way. And I don't say maybe, I believe it, I know it, I see it. I have many people that I work with that are living optimally in every single way, mind, body, spirit, physiology. And I feel great all the time myself, and that is because we take care of everything that we have to take care of for ourselves as best as we can. And there's always a different way, right? What works for you today may not work for you in a year.
Right, that also, yeah. And I love that, Jesus being the example, I'm Christian.
Okay.
How he is the example. And when you believe in what you believe, you can move mountains with the seed of faith. So
absolutely.
You can heal people. So I definitely agree. I think he
was one of the first miracle workers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And such an example.
And he never said, you can't do it. You have to come to me to do it only. He said, you can do it too, and more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You just have to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've noticed shared biological patterns between people with extreme visibility and people in survival mode. That's a bold statement. Do you mind explaining that? Like, what does What is that about?
Though both of those, extreme visibility and people that are in extreme need, tend to have more stress in their life, right? It's always in the middle where things are a little bit more calm. Maybe you have a calm, normal life, you don't have too many stresses. But when you are in survival mode, where you don't know when or how you're going to eat, this creates tremendous physiological stress on the body. And stress in the body does lead most of the time to illness, right? And then if you are very high profile, you have a lot of the world aware of what you're doing. They're watching you. They're looking to see what you're doing. They're criticizing it. You know, maybe you have a big responsibility. Maybe you have a huge company and a lot of people depend on you to feed their family. You know, maybe you're running a country and again, you're trying to do the good works, but it's just not perfect because you can't do everything for everyone at the same time. And so that causes tremendous stress in the body. And those are the similarities. Again, the physiological body doesn't know what your external circumstances are. It just knows whether or not you're stressed. It knows whether or not you're happy. It knows what chemical reactions your body is having, and it's going to react to that stress. And so those are the similarities. It's really what the thoughts are that create the stress, the adrenaline, the cortisol. That is, and too much of that long term is detrimental to the physical body.
That is so freaking true. And if someone is listening right now and they feel stuck in their health, in their leadership life, what's the one thing you tell them to do today?
One, to have radical self-acceptance, to stop criticizing themselves, to stop judging themselves, to give themselves some grace, you know, to really have that radical self-acceptance and really optimize the thoughts. Again, the only thing that you are aware of every single day are the thoughts that you have. You're having them all day long. So that's the one thing that you have some control over. And you can take control and become a thought master. You were talking about one of the greatest teachers of all time. You were talking about Jesus. He was a thought master.
Yeah.
He was the ultimate thought master, and that is why he was able to do the miracles that he was able to do. And so we also must become our own thought masters. We must master our own thoughts so that we can create those miracles in our own life and miracles for others, right? We create miracles through others, through the technology, through the medicine that we offer, through everything that we do. And so if you take a person that is having a really hard time, they're severely depressed, can't get out of the house, and one day that is no longer their life, that is a miracle. We just have a lot of steps that we took. We have explanations now. We can really study the brain. We can look at the chemistry, the physiology. We have the therapists. We have all the tools now. But it doesn't take away that it's a miracle. The medicine, the strategies, the protocols, the conversations, those are the miracles of today. We just didn't have the language to explain them. What we had in the past was extreme faith, and the healers had thought mastery. They themselves knew, I can heal this person. This person's going to come to me, and yes, I'm going to heal them. And guess what? The person coming to them knew, if I just get to touch that guy's robe, I will be healed, right?
Yes.
And so it's both. Both of those involve thoughts. Both of those involved thought mastery.
And belief too.
And we call the miracles, well, we're still living miracles today. The miracles are happening every single day.
That's true. Breathing is a miracle.
It sure is.
And for closing, I have two questions. What's something you believe about human potential that most people would think is crazy?
That you can absolutely have everything. That you absolutely can be happy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that you can have a physically optimized body. We live in the most miraculous time. We have some controversial science and technology. You know, we've got things that people can preserve their brains now, for example. You know, the longevity, extreme longevity people, which I'm going to speak at one of their conferences coming up, have the technology now where you can pay a lot of money to make sure that your brain is preserved when you leave the physical body. I mean, these are extreme things, right? So is there something we really can't do? We're doing all of the things that we thought we couldn't do. We're experiencing new miracles every day. And so I hope that that narrative changes. I hope that people do change their mind about what they're allowed to have. But the other thing is that people sometimes don't get there because they're coming from a place of, I need to get mine. And when you come from the place of, I need to get mine, guess what? If everybody comes to this day on just trying to get theirs, everybody comes in starving.
Yeah.
Everybody are those energy vampires that people talk about. Then everyone is, no one is going to grow. No one is going to advance because everyone's just like, oh my gosh, where am I going to get mine? Right. Versus if you come from an extreme place of generosity, an extreme place of giving, you will generate so much positive energy. You will help so many people that your life will be magic in every way. I worked with an extraordinary healer a very long time ago when I was 16 years old. And she was an energy healer. Oh, wow. And I used to ask her, how is it that you're always well? And people would come to her that are physically sick, emotionally sick, distraught. And she would, do her energy work on them. And she said, I am here to serve. My job is to help them. Oh. How can I be unwell? And she didn't even charge a lot of money to do that. She would help anyone, the person with the most resources and the person with the least resources. And she lived a very, very long, extraordinary life. And she never had the need for anything. She died peacefully in her sleep, and she never had any issues. And so that is, I think, something that people think, oh, you have to be tough and get yours. And I have found that the people that are truly succeeding actually are coming from this place of giving back to the world. Sure, everyone has to make a living, but within what they're doing, they're giving everything, every day, to the people that they're blessed to serve.
Yeah, work as if you were doing it for God. I think it's one of the quotes in the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's something you believe about life that you cannot prove, but is true?
Well, that's an interesting question because, for example, going back to the miracles, we couldn't prove how those miracles happened in the past.
Right.
But we now have all of the studies, the scientific studies that study the cells in the body, the mechanisms in the body, where those miracles, we can see exactly what's happened in the body. So I don't think that we cannot prove miracles anymore. I think we do have evidence of how miracles happen. And that gives us so much power to know that all of us can create miracles in our lives and in the lives of others. And we do have the studies and we can prove it. And the proof, again, is in you woke up today. Well, we have all the studies on that physiology, on what happened to make sure that you woke up today. And right. Like you said, breathing is a miracle, right? But now we know the mechanisms of breathing and we know about oxygen. And so...
But still having the oxygen.
Exactly.
And being on this planet that has all these elements.
Exactly.
I mean, and being born on, what are the odds? Too many things that have to happen.
Yes.
And then yet, what is one question you wish I had asked that I haven't?
Maybe we were talking about it a little bit on what people, should know. I think in this era right now, with social media and with, almost anyone being able to have some visibility, it seems like there's a message of know your worth, have your boundaries, look at who's cheering for you. And I want to invite people to know everyone else's worth. Cheer for other people. Who are you the tribe of? Who are you going to serve? Who can you root for? And I really find that if we can change that, especially in people of a certain generation, it's really become about me. I know my worth. Even I can tell you, this is the easiest time in all of humanity to become very successful. It's the easiest time. If you come to the world with how may I serve, if you have a work ethic, if you really come from a place of generosity, of what can I do to help someone's life, you will succeed. Because so many are coming from the other side of, they start working somewhere and right away they want to be promoted, and, they haven't done very much for it. If you come from this place of, look, I'm going to come and do this work and I'm going to give 100% every day, even if maybe I don't feel like I'm getting as much back as I should, you will get enough back eventually, and actually probably very quickly. This is the easiest time. People think it's hard. No, it's the easiest time to succeed in anything. Yeah, it's the easiest time to develop amazing relationships. People are hiding behind their screens. They're not calling people. They're not texting people. They just have these relationships, virtual relationships. If you're the person who actually sends somebody a nice text, you won.
Yeah.
You're going to develop relationships because people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you're thinking about me. It's like just coming from this place of connection, of giving, of generosity, you'll win. You'll win in your health, you'll win in your job, you'll win in your relationships. It's very, very easy.
That's so true.
It's just, having a little bit of humility in life and say, I'm one more of us, guys. I need to be here to serve people and do something nice for the rest of the people. Many people hold back so much. They hold back love, they hold back compliments. And if you feel something good about someone, if you see something beautiful in them, something admirable in them, tell them. Most people will never tell them. And people think, these people that are so successful, everyone's telling them how great they are all the time. No, people are not telling them how great they are all the time because they assume they already know.
And they don't want to look like a kiss ass.
They don't want to look like a kiss ass. I say, be the fool, look like the kiss ass, and say something nice, do something nice for someone, because that person might have had like the whole world hating them that day. And maybe you said something nice to them. And it's like, okay, at least, I'm doing something good in life. That we'll never lose by being kind and helping other people and saying nice things. Again, like I told her, I tell my clients and my doctors, fall in love with people every day. Love them immediately. You don't have to wait. There's nothing to wait for. Nothing's going to happen. You're not going to run out of love. You're not going to run out of good energy. Actually, the more love you give and the more positive compliments and energy that you give, the better your life gets and the better everyone else's life gets. And don't worry about if people think you're, buttering them up or that kind of stuff. That's on them. But you're still raising their dopamine. You're still raising your dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin every time you do that, regardless. No one is going to get a nice text and think, oh, look at this person. They're going to...
Like they're trying to be nice to me.
You're going to just plant a little positive seed in their heart. You're going to do a little poke in their heart where they're going to feel like, oh, that was nice. Someone said something nice to me.
I think with that mentality, I think you are the ideal wife, to be honest. Because you're a giver. And if you have that mindset that I have to give and he's going to do the same, that's the perfect couple, perfect marriage, and I think you just have the perfect wife mentality.
But can we be the perfect wife to everybody?
That's
without the negative connotation, right? But there's also the perfect husband, and that's something very interesting. We talk a lot about the divine feminine. And we like to slaughter, our society in the last 10 years has chosen to slaughter the patriarchy, slaughter the man, and just talk about the divine feminine. The divine feminine will never slaughter the divine masculine.
Amen.
They are allies. And men are rising now. I see the most extraordinary things in men now. They are understanding the divine masculine. I had a man a couple years ago, I was speaking at a conference, and he was trying to be politically correct, and he's like, yeah, I'm really into the divine feminine. And all he talked about was the divine feminine. And he was this amazing divine masculine man. And I said, I understand you're trying to embrace us, but I want you to embrace your divine masculine. There's a place for it. If we're all going to be the same, it's chaos. There's a beautiful balance of divine feminine and divine masculine. And when men are in their divine masculine, they are the most extraordinary beings. We need each other.
Right. and
They
serve
they
our own
uplift
purpose.
humanity, and sometimes we do need them to lift up their swords, and that's okay.
That's amazing. Whoa, me and you. Is there, where would people be able to find you?
They can find me on my website, leallovio.com.
Okay.
LeAllovio, or on Instagram if they want to come and hear me speak at a conference. Usually I try to have most of my conferences on my links in my Instagram page, and they can always DM me if they, want to work with me in any way. I'm available. Just go to my website. That's the easiest way.
Amazing. I am so honored to have had you on my show. What a brilliant human you are. Beautiful inside out. So thank you so much for coming.
Kat, thank you so much. And thank you for you bringing your sacred medicine and allowing us to bring ours through your platform. And it was such a blessing for you and I to be on the same summit and connect right away.
Day too.
Yeah. Do you see the internet, the media, is also a blessing.
Exactly.
It's not, we can use it to do our good works in the world.
Yeah,
We
that's
connect
true.
with other beautiful souls like yourself.
Oh, and yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.